Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. This is the show where I take a look at every classic Doctor Who story plus a bunch of big finish audio dramas, one episode a day, 7 days a week. Now, before we begin, because in 2019, YouTube was caught data mining the information of underage users, therefore violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, also known as COPPA, they reached a settlement with the United States government where they implemented new policy meant to dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators, meaning I have to ensure everybody understands that this video is not meant for children. It is not marketed towards kids, it is not advertised towards kids. Doctor Who is a family show that kids can watch, but this video, as with all the videos on my channel, are looking at it from an adult perspective, so viewer discretion is advised. It is the 14th of March 2021, and we are starting a look at a six-parter and the first ever Doctor Who radio drama, originally broadcast on BBC Radio 4 in 1985, between the 25th of July and 22nd of August. Now, we are looking at the story Slipback, which was written by Eric Saward. Now, Slipback is actually kind of weird. Each episode only runs about 10 minutes, meaning that this entire hour-long story is 6 episodes long, with each episode, again, only running 10 minutes, so expect this to actually be a shorter video, and part 1 starts out intriguingly, but Eric Saward clearly doesn't know how to do a really short-form thing, and you actually really already feel Eric Saward's disgust of the Sixth Doctor. He writes him to be very vile. He's apparently got really drunk and has a hangover and is mean to Peri. Meanwhile, on a spaceship, 2 crewmen are told to kill a creature that's sort of wandering around. And the ship has a computer, which has been hiccuping and acting also like it's hungover, and it's apparently hearing voices. And the TARDIS materializes, and the Doctor and Peri encounter the creature and are chased. That is the plot of Slipback, part 1. And that's nowhere near enough to actually do anything with the premise. Like, we don't know exactly. It's a very average start to an adventure, and really the big problem here is the pacing is off. There isn't, mainly in that there isn't actually a lot here to be paced. Really, that's and cast is nice. There's there are some people who've been in Doctor Who before, or will be in Doctor Who audios, but yeah, this is just, it's fine. It's 10 minutes. There's a spaceship and a monster. It's a typical Doctor Who start. So, it's brief, but I'm gonna have to give part 1 of Slipback a 5 out of 10. Yeah, 5 sounds about right. Okay. It is the 15th of March, 2021. I just finished listening to episode 2 of Slipback. Yeah, this is, not great. Again, the fact that these episodes are only 10 minutes long, it means that there actually isn't a lot here. It's very, very choppy storytelling. We only have 10 minutes so we can get to a cliffhanger, and while some authors would do that very well, Saward doesn't. This is a story where we actually get a lot with the non-Doctor and Peri. Anyone who isn't the Doctor and Peri, they get a lot of scenes. The Doctor and Peri are running, still being chased. It's basically what they do. They try to shut some bulkheads. The Doctor gets trapped. Peri falls down 12 meters down a ventilation shaft. That's what they do for this story while other things are going on. You have the computer wanting to change its voice for whatever reason. That's not actually a reason that is ever really explained. It's just sort of made to, be there. It's this very, very weird little thing where it's like, ooh, yes, look how clever we are. We have a voice in our heads. It's not a something you kind of want to be doing or even seeing done. It's really actually kind of sad that this is what the story's doing, because, well, there are other stories that you could have done this with. You could have had some interesting things. The Doctor has some exposition here, and that exposition is fine. It's serviceable, but it's not actually good exposition. And if I'm going to be honest, there's actually some trouble with the sound design here. Now, maybe we're spoiled for Big Finish, but I don't think so, as BBC Radio 4 is known for their audio drama. It's just on a production like this, they don't actually give a lot of good audio drama work here. Like the Foley itself, all of the running down the corridors just sounds cheap. And this is one where we also don't actually know who directed this. This is never given a director's credit, so I can't say whose fault it is. It's probably Paul Spencer, the producer's fault. But it is definitely something where you're listening and actually hoping that maybe it'll do something good and interesting, but no, it actually really doesn't. It's more of here's some stuff and we're like just getting to the next checkpoint. Now, yeah, sure, these were 2 episodes a day were broadcast, but you're still releasing it as a 6-episode serial when really you could have done it as 3 20-minute episodes and probably have had a better paced thing and actually have gotten the Doctor involved. I really hope that episode 3 actually does get the Doctor involved and we can actually, move to maybe doing something interesting. But as it stands, I'm going to have to give episode 2 of Slipback a 4 out of 10. Okay, it is the 16th of March, 2021. I just finished listening to part 3 of Slipback, which wasn't good. Again, these are becoming actually increasingly difficult to talk about because little's actually happening in them. It's a lot of build-up to ultimately nothing, which is a problem. Again, these are only 10-minute episodes. And I hate to say it, one of the big problems here is that because Eric Saward is insistent on splitting up the characters, you're not getting, essentially, what could be a good story. Because you get this... You're getting a story where we should have things change and be different, but we don't. We have Peri doing stuff, the Doctor trying to get the computer to basically do stuff. The Doctor actually meets the crew. They think he's a stowaway. They shoot him. That's the end of the episode. Again, this is 10 minutes, and it's not enough to actually be telling a story that's interesting or really has a different idea or something for the story to really do. Uh, it's 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 this um uh it's this it's just this weird story. So I'm going to give part 3 of Slipback, where very little happens, a 4 out of 10. Alright, it is the 17th of March 2021. I just finished listening to part 4 of Slipback, which is the weakest episode yet. Yeah, this is an entire story that has the real problem of really nothing happens. Like, it almost feels like Eric Saward is trying to give us a story, about, like, I guess this fascist spaceship thing, like the Doctor's mind gets invaded by the computer, who turns into the other voice thing that, the other story had. Again, this is only... Because this is only a story with literally 6 episodes, 6 very, very long episodes, even though they're only 10 minutes, there's like there's there's the entire story is just this very different sort of story where it doesn't the entire story is all about uh, uh, like this just isn't this just isn't all that great. It's very much a boring sort of story where you don't get to see where everything um, um, what this... It's just not a great story. I'm going to have to give part 4 of Slipback a 3 out of 10. Alright, it is the 18th of March 2021. I just finished listening to part 5 of Slipback. Once again, this is a story where nothing actually happens. Like, this is just a bad story. One of the big ideas here is basically the Doctor and Peri, is on a ship, and it's like, oh, the computer's like, we're gonna time travel to the beginning of the galaxy so it can exist. This is bad for some reason. This is somehow a bad thing. It's never actually explained why this is a bad thing. I think the implication is that it would destroy the universe, so in the penultimate, in like the last 20 minutes, remember, because this is an episode, this is only a 10-minute episode, and there's 10 minutes after this, we're going to have to try to ramp up the stakes for the universe to be destroyed. That is what that's what Eric Saward is trying to do. It's not some brilliant, amazing thing. It's quite literally a bit of the story being all about the universe blowing up. It's not the great, amazing story. It's just a really, really, really weird story where we don't have a lot of what the story can be enjoyable with. It's more of just, here's the story that we're telling, and we're not even really doing this great job of telling it. We're doing a bunch is just about everything that the story is meant to be. So, you just, and again, Peri has nothing to do here. Each episode has been more painful than the last, so I'm going to have to give part 5 of Slipback, which, again, isn't great. This entire story is a mess, so I'm going to have to give part 5 of Slipback a 3 out of 10. It is still the 18th of March 2021. We're finished Slipback with part 6. This one has a Time Lord Deus Ex Machina. Yeah, this entire story just struggles to find any sort of footing. Any sort of good footing, even, to stand on. It's okay. You have a premise that could possibly work, and there's this. I forgot there was a whole virus plot thing, that actually leads to nothing except blowing up. Like, what were you doing, Eric Saward? Why were you writing another plot line that just doesn't change anything that happens here? it's a story where it's like, okay, yeah, like, okay, maybe I would get it if we were actually doing stuff, but the story does nothing. It writes, um, it writes itself um, into a corner, and in writing itself into a corner, you have, you have, you have the story be, that, okay, we have this bit where a Time Lord needs to come in and be like, okay, I'm coming in, and we are we are telling a story where the Doctor and company are there, and that's it, and that's our story. Doctor and company, they're doing stuff, and you don't get to see, an interesting story. It's here's this, here's this story. Here's this, not basically a non-story that we're not really doing anything with. So, just let it happen, and don't ever actually let the story breathe. You know, that the ship goes back to the Big Bang, it blows up, and we move right along. And I can't get behind that, honestly. It's just so weak. It's a story where you don't get something interesting. You get basically a story where it's like where things just happen. They don't necessarily happen for a reason. It's just that they're there. So overall, I'm going to give part 6 of Slipback a 3 out of 10. So we add up the scores and average them out to give Slipback a final score of 3.66 out of 10. Not a good story, and it doesn't surprise you why it would take over a decade for the next Doctor Who story to appear on radio. So thank you everybody for watching this installment of the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. As always, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And join me next time when we go back into the Lost Stories, continuing the Season 23 that never was, with the story that was written and meant to be produced as the penultimate story in the season, though in Big Finish's version it's only actually the 4th release of the Lost Stories range. And a return from writer Christopher Hamilton Bidmead, in a TV story that was probably going to be directed by Matthew Robinson, in Doctor Who: The Hollows of Time.